Okay, we have reached the final practical technique. This is the third practical technique. This will be kinetic typography. Just briefly recap what kinetic typography is. I did talk about this in my research, but just make it a bit easier and make it a bit clearer. Kinetic typography is the idea that you have text on the screen that moves and animates. This will be specifically used in the Are You Happy sequence as talked about in my research. The Are You Happy sequence is the most music video style sequence. I talk about this a lot in my pre-script plan. When I talk about this sequence, it's very much meant to be the music video style to reflect this character's kind of divulge and this kind of change of the music bubble world. So I'll be using kinetic typography to kind of highlight keywords, kind of reinforce them into the audience. Now, I've done a lot of research into kinetic typography. Actually, I watched a lot of different tutorial videos, kind of looked at programs I have access to, because I always think there's no point going for like a program that I don't have access to. But the two main programs I found could achieve kinetic typography in the style I wanted was firstly Premiere. Premiere, once again, like I talked about in the VFX video, it's a program I use quite a lot. I use it to edit all these videos. It's something I understand, and also I'll be editing the entire film in Premiere, so it's a good program to start from, and I've always wanted to use more range of effects, so using kinetic typography inside these videos would be an interesting, unique thing. And then once again, I'll be looking at After Effects. Just to recap my research, I actually one of the core pieces of research was this very interesting video called Beginner's Kinetic Typography. It was about an hour and it goes over every single style animation. And this kind of really opened my eyes to After Effects, because before I thought animating After Effects, but what can it bring to the table? And it really showed me that there's so much style and stuff like that. So again, I'll be using After Effects. So just like before, I recorded basically a short clip of me just kind of sitting down. That'll be that's kind of in the style of what I'm looking for to have in the music, in the video, in the final project, Brendan is Dead. Obviously I've storyboarded this, so I'm going to rip this directly from my planning for my storyboarding. And then I'll go into both programs, I'll do the exact same kind of kinetic typography and look at how long it takes, stuff like that, really kind of how the style I'm going for. And then I'll come back, obviously on a different day, in a different outfit, probably a different location. I'll basically talk to you about the pros, the cons, and I'll come to some kind of conclusion of what program I'll be using, or what overall program I want, or if I'm going to be combining programs. So thank you for watching this part of the video. Next we'll be going on to future Brendan, where we'll be talking about kinetic typography inside of Premiere and After Effects. Hi, this is Brendan Watkin. This is my second, I think, or third. I'm doing this all out of order, so it's going to be a bit complicated. But this is the next chapter in the experimentation. This experimentation I'll be looking at is typography. So how I done typography is two different methods: is After Effects and Premiere. Just to start off with After Effects, how I do it in After Effects is actually pretty easy. I use a tutorial that I found I talked about in my research. In the research, you might remember I looked at a massive video that was about an hour about all the different kind of how beginners to expert of typography. So I used that as kind of a baseline to work out how to do some basic typography inside of my work. So I took that video, I watched it, and then basically I use After Effects, and basically the effect is that it kind of it basically, as you can see from the video, it writes out the video, it writes it out onto the screen kind of and into this sequence, and I think it looks really good. That's the main pro of it. I think it looks very unique, and I really like the style of it. It's kind of, it stands out, and it really kind of goes for that kind of piano kind of written out sequence that I really was looking for with this sequence, as I talked about in my context and research. This is meant to be the most music video heavy section, and I think it really works out with obviously the planning. I planned it to have a similar shot to this actually, where it's me sitting here and then it's going to have it across the screen, so I think it would work with the sequence on a logistical side. And then also another pro is there's actually a lot more options that I didn't like when I went around experimenting with the different options, stuff like that, and like looking at After Effects on the whole with typographies. There's a lot of options compared to say Premiere, and it means that like basically I can have different sequences, be in different styles and stuff like that, and really kind of stretch it and really find the perfect one for it. For what I'm looking for, that I think was like adds something really unique and different to it. The other kind of con is that there's a long process to export. I think, as I talked about in my After VFX video, After Effects is kind of very annoying to export. It takes a while and stuff like that. And this could be a big problem because the VFX one, yeah, there's VFX in it, but they're not as heavy as the typography would be. Because typography is planned to be, I think, 5 or 6 scenes, as I talk about in my planning, it's a lot, and they last for a long time. They do take a lot longer to animate. So that will take up a big chunk of time into my schedule to do it all and stuff like that, and it may not be worth it. That's the other kind of con, is that it does take a lot of time to do. It takes a lot of time to animate and to really perfectly nail what I'm looking for, and like that kind of thing. For example, this took me about an hour to do because I was messing around with it and stuff like that. It does take a while. And then the biggest kind of disadvantages that I talked about in my VFX is because After Effects doesn't have, you can't listen to audio. It's actually really difficult to time it out. It was a big issue in VFX, it's a massive issue in this, because basically it has to be perfectly timed out to when the character is saying, "Are you happy?" It has to appear on the screen. It's not a thing of like with the sound bites where I can kind of work it out by the visuals. I would have to have the audio there. So that means that I would basically have to probably play the audio in a separate program and then try and sync it up in After Effects. It's going to create a kind of big issue for it. So overall, After Effects is an interesting method, and but I don't know if I really want to go with it, just because I'll talk about this in the overall section, just because as I'm talking about, I mean, con is it's just difficult to time out without music. The second method I looked at was a more simpler method, and that was using typography in Premiere. I'll show a quick example of that now. Okay, so that was typography through Premiere. How I done that was basically I used keyframes. Keyframes basically allow you to kind of go from, say, one point to another, and it will slowly move it or something like that. In the case of Premiere, basically what I done was I changed the opacity. So it started off at 0, and then at the end of about, I think, 10 seconds, it went to 100. So the idea, the effect it creates, is it kind of creates this wiping effect across the screen that I think is pretty unique and stuff like that, and I do like it. It does fit in that music video style, and that is actually the main pro of this method. Is sorry, just look at my notes. It does look. It's a quick setup. I know how to use Premiere. I can use Premiere. And Premiere will be edited. Everything will be edited on Premiere, like I'm editing this video, and it doesn't take that long. I think it took about 5-10 minutes. It's a very easy kind of effect to achieve. And then obviously, as I've talked about quite a lot with After Effects and Premiere, is that it is easy to time out. This is important, as I talked about before, with the timing out and stuff like that. I was easily able to time it out and stuff like that because it's keyframing. So I'll be able to keyframe to each kind of letter to kind of, so like R would keyframe to the R bit of the third song, and then, doing that. So it basically perfectly keyframes it out. So yeah, it's perfectly timed because I can use keyframes and really minute it down, stuff like that. So overall, I do think that it was worth looking at After Effects. I think it is an interesting program, and obviously, if this was a bigger project, I have more people with me, and I would just say the editor, I would use After Effects. It is a really interesting program. You can animate quite a lot. It's a very powerful program, and it does have a really unique look. But the biggest problem is that, as I think timing is so important to this sequence, it's going to be really difficult to not look that good if I timed it out using After Effects, because I would have to have 2 programs. It just gets really complicated. Whereas the other side, Premiere, due to it being a video-based program, what I'll be primarily using for this software and stuff like that, and being able to time it out perfectly, I think it's the best option. So overall, I'm gonna be going with Premiere as my typography option. I understand that After Effects is slightly better style-wise, but I feel like Premiere has what I'm looking for with that timing, and I think style-wise it does still look alright. So that has been my typography experimentation. Thank you for watching.